and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be talking about what factors contribute to Europe's perceived lack of autonomy. And we're going to take them one at a time: the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and then we're going to talk about Eastern Europe because those seem to be the big four areas to talk about here. So, Europe's perceived lack of autonomy. Well, we see with the United Kingdom, they decoupled from the European Union, and they thought that would mean that they would have more of an independent foreign policy and independent economic policy, but really they've become so beholden to the European Union and to the United States to a large extent that they really aren't able to have a policy, foreign policy or economic policy separate from the EU and from the United States. And so the United Kingdom is really on an island of its own in terms of its ability to get anything done. And I think the United Kingdom just hasn't recognized that its situation in the world has changed over the past 100 years. They don't have the influence they used to have. They don't really have many benefits going for them. They're not a major naval mercantile power. They're not a major military power. In terms of their influence, geopolitical influence, they're not a major power in any way, shape, or form. And so the United Kingdom, I think they were hoping, and this just never panned out, they were hoping that because they were a benevolent, declining power and they just kind of handed over the reins to the United States, they were hoping that the United States would kind of look out for them as almost a little brother. And that really hasn't happened. The United States has exploited, they've kind of decommissioned various elements of the United Kingdom to make sure that the United Kingdom would never be another threat to it. Sure, they still treat the United Kingdom somewhat well, but they've really made sure the United Kingdom has no real competitive advantages. And so the United Kingdom doesn't have much autonomy. They're not able to view situations separately from the United States. They're almost a 51st state to the United States. And so United Kingdom, I would consider it a mid-tier power. It's kind of funny talking about places like the G7 as the world leaders because it's really the United States and six of its puppets. Places like the United Kingdom just do not have any sense of agency. They do not have any competitive advantages. So other powers in the European Union and in Europe more generally, what factors contribute to Europe's perceived lack of autonomy? Let's talk about France now. France has been relatively independent throughout the history of the European Union and the European just integration as a whole. They used to be a competitor to the United Kingdom. They used to be a powerhouse, a colonial power of its own. And so they have somewhat of an independent streak from places like the United Kingdom and from places like Germany and even the United States, really. But that has changed over time. France, just like the United Kingdom, doesn't really have many competitive advantages. It doesn't have the military it used to have. It doesn't have the colonial empire it used to have. It doesn't even have the remnants of it. Like the United Kingdom can at least say that the world's kind of trade language is English, but France, its colonial empire doesn't really speak French anymore. Its former colonial holdings don't really like France. France really doesn't have much going for it in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't have access to a lot of resources. It has a lot of various ongoing crises within its country. Its various tourist attractions have become decrepit. Places like Paris are messy, dirty places nowadays. And so France doesn't have anything that would allow it the sense of autonomy, sense of agency, so it could dictate its own policies. And so it, just like the United Kingdom, is beholden to the United States. Now, Germany is another situation where Germany has typically been a manufacturing powerhouse, and it's had some sense of agency, partially because of the fact that it was two separate countries for the longest time, East and West Germany. And so it was beholden to the Soviet Union as well as the kind of allied powers in France, United Kingdom, and the United States. And so it's had kind of competing interests, competing loyalties there for the longest time. And so it's been, I would say, the most independent for the longest amount of time throughout the European Union and throughout Europe as a whole. But situations like the crisis in Syria and the crisis in Libya and the Nord Stream bombing and how Germany has handled the Ukrainian war shows that Germany doesn't have autonomy either. Germany is completely beholden to the United States. And I'm going to emphasize this in every instance I can. United States, because they're the most likely culprit, I'm fully convinced that the United States is the one who bombed Nord Stream. United States has attacked German critical energy infrastructure. This is a huge war crime. It just should not have happened. It would obviously lead to war in other circumstances. And Germany clearly just does not have the autonomy to handle its own foreign policy at this point, because if they did, they would absolutely be declaring war on the United States. I mean, even if they can't win the war, the fact that the United States attacked their critical energy infrastructure is just heinous. United States should have been the one sanctioned from the international community after that action, and they weren't even subtle about it. They're like, we're gonna make sure these pipes, these energy infrastructure doesn't go through, that they're not able to transfer energy to Europe. And so like they were very clear that they were not going to allow those pipes to exist, those that energy infrastructure. And so Germany, if they're allowing their own energy infrastructure to be destroyed, they obviously do not have autonomy. And then Eastern Europe, I'm taking that kind of as a whole, whether you're looking at Ukraine or Poland, all these various areas, they're benefiting from resources from the United States, but you're also seeing places like Ukraine completely at war because of the fact the United States has been fomenting tension. They've been building bio labs within Ukraine. They've been threatening to integrate Ukraine into NATO. They've been threatening to put nuclear weapons in Ukraine. And so these places obviously do not have autonomy. We saw with the Maidan Revolution that democratically elected officials can be just overthrown by United States puppets. And so these countries, to a certain extent, are benefiting because of the collapse of the Soviet Union, and you see places like Poland getting a ton of financial aid from places like Germany, the European Union, and even the United States. But it comes with some strings attached, and those strings are that places like Poland has to be the bodies, the sacrifices if they end up going to war with Russia. And we see how that's going for Ukraine. Ukraine has lost a lot of people due to this war, and it didn't even benefit them. Like if you look at the situation after the Maidan Revolution, their GDP per capita went down. Like they were not a successful nation after they pivoted to the United States. And that's something to consider too, which is that a lot of times countries have been willing to, people within countries have been willing and enticed to overthrow their government because they thought things would be better with the United States. And for a while that was the case. Like the United States would just kind of throw money at them. So in the short term, their country would be better off after revolutions. But now we're seeing that after the Maidan Revolution, other revolutions like that, the United States actually isn't able to offer economic opportunities like it used to be able to. And so there isn't actually a benefit to giving up your autonomy, giving up your agency as a nation, giving up your sovereignty like there used to be. And so what is the point of losing your agency as a nation if you're not actually getting anything from it? And I don't have an answer for you. And countries like Ukraine are learning there actually isn't much benefit to giving up your sovereignty. So that is my answer on the factors contributing to Europe's perceived lack of autonomy. They're just completely beholden, completely puppets of the United States. If you like my answer to this question and would like to hear more questions by me, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content. That is all I have for you today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.